Hello, y'all. I am back once again on this exercise bike. So, this video is going to be about what narcissists laugh at. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a laugher too, right? I've laughed at my own self when I bumped into things, and you got to find the humor in it, right? But it's a time and a place for it, right? And sometimes because we're kind of like that, we kind of like that empathic goofiness. That's fine. We think that other people are doing the same thing. So, for example, I remember my ex narcissist. He was driving a moving truck because he was helping me move, right? I remember getting out of the passenger side of the truck, and I don't know how to explain this. I'm short. I'm not a tall woman, right? And as I was getting out of the truck, however way it happened, I just started walking forward and I hit my head on the mirror on the side of the moving truck, right? This was a pretty big moving truck. I don't know if I was all the way out of the truck. I remember walking and I just bam. It hit me so hard because I was walking fast. So when I ran into it, it didn't hit me. I ran into it. It kind of threw me off balance some, right? So I'm saying that to say this. This just wasn't like a light hit on the head. But my ex narcissist, looking back on it in hindsight, he sat in that truck. He laughed like a hyena, y'all. I mean, granted, he from the Midwest originally, like I am too. However, I get it. I mean, Midwesterners, we crack up. However, I wasn't laughing because I had a knot on my head, y'all. And this narcissist, like I said, he didn't get out to hug me, make sure I was okay. He just laughed like a hyena. I mean, this man was laughing like crazy. But see, the narcissist's laughter is a major red flag. That man did not give a F about me, right? I just was like, whatever, but it was something that I always kind of remembered. And for a while, I would kind of think about it here and there because it really pissed me off, because it wasn't funny. I hit it hard enough to where I was off balance. Like it hit me in the top of my forehead, y'all. No different than if you're in a car and you know you don't have your seatbelt on and you come to a sudden stop and you hit the mirror. A lot of people have had injuries like that. So the narcissist's laughter, a lot of times if we pick up on that red flag, you'll lead them alone. A lot of people, they've had people do that to them and they don't speak to them people no more. Especially when it's kind of serious. So, the reason I thought of this video too, I was watching a video. It was one of the cases with the chimpanzee. Um, one of the famous chimpanzees that ended up mauling this lady's friend, right? And I like to watch more than one documentary or video about a case because each video reports different stuff, right? So the chimpanzee's owner, as they would call her, um, she had had the chimpanzee since he was a baby, right? And I guess she had originally paid like 50,000 for this chimpanzee or whatever. I don't believe we should even be buying living beings. I just don't. It don't even sound right. You bought a chimpanzee for 50,000. Just crazy. So The narcissist laughter. So way before the owner of the chimpanzee, her and her husband owned the chimpanzee. The chimpanzee was just like one of the homeboys for real of the family. So the chimpanzee had took the owner friend, pulled a blotch of hair or some of the hair out of the lady's head. Not the owner's head, not the owner of the chimpanzee, the owner, her friend, which was another lady. So the chimpanzee owner, guess what she did, y'all? The narcissist laughter. She laughed. She thought it was so funny that her chimpanzee, which is a male, took a blotch of hair out of her friend's head. Now, going on further, this same chimpanzee ended up almost mauling her friend to death. I mean, the lady was mauled so bad by the chimpanzee that the medical staff and people that helped the lady needed therapy just from seeing what the chimpanzee did to the lady's friend. So, this is what you gotta remember: the narcissist laughter. I wish, when I look back on it, when that ex narcissist had laughed, when I had hit my head on that moving truck, I wish I would have left that narcissist alone. If I would have done that, it seems like such a petty thing. I mean, you just like, oh, I'm going to stop talking to a person because they laughed. But people do it. People do it. People have been around people and invited them over for things, and they laughed at the wrong thing. It could be they laughed at, okay, you told them somebody passed away and they just start giggling. Now, I just got to add this disclaimer because I have a family member that laughs at almost anything, right? And I don't want to make it seem like just because you one of them persons or one of them people that just laugh at a lot of stuff because that's your personality. You got some people that smile a lot. You know, it's just their genuine, impacted, good natured personality. But this particular family member, when they laugh, I laugh. It's one of those type of people. It's just their personality. And I'm not talking about somebody that's young and you kind of got to tell them, even if they're a young adult. You know, some adults, they don't pick up on everything so fast. So sometimes you got to say, that ain't funny, sir or miss. That's not funny. You know, you got to kind of teach the young people in the family. Sometimes you got to teach people empathy too. It don't just always come natural for them to know how to treat people. You know, sometimes it doesn't always just come natural for everybody, right? So, like I said, I do believe in teaching empathy. You know, a lot of empathy is taught too. You learn as you grow, even in your young adult years. You know, you're constantly helping family members with that. So, I just want to clarify differences because, you know, you got that person in the family or people in the family where they just laughing about a lot of stuff. But I'm talking about that narcissist laughter, y'all. And it's a difference between, okay, we both crack up because of how I act, because I kind of bumped this wall, girl. Did you see that? Or, you know, I mean, something like that. But when a narcissist laugh because they chimpanzee snatch your hair out of your scalp, right? That's painful for one, right? And it ain't funny. And it's too late now because that same lady ended up being mauled by that chimpanzee. However, she should have got her bag or purse and got away from that crazy friend of hers that had that chimpanzee. So, the moral of the story is the narcissist's laughter, if you pick up on what they're laughing at and stuff like that, say you got a friend and they're giggling and laughing at the fact you're homeless, some kind of crisis in your life, there's some kind of pain. Like I mentioned earlier, I try to use real live examples of stuff that has happened to me. When I was watching how that narcissistic lady laughed about her chimpanzee snatching that hair out of her friend's head, it made me think back to when the narcissist had laughed about me hitting my head. Like I said, it hurt, y'all. I had a knot on my head. And when I say that man, he laughed hilariously. He's laughing. My ex narcissist, when I look back on it, he was a little evil, y'all. He was laughing because I was hurt, right? I guess the way I reacted, but my total reaction was I was in shock. I mean, I didn't even laugh, but he just laughed, laughed, laughed. And I think I mentioned, boy, you really think that's funny, don't you? But I'm glad I'm not around that man no more. But at the same time, that narcissist laughter is a big red flag for you to run, right? I remember when I was a teenager, right? Many, many years ago. And I'm not going to say what family member did it, but it was a family member. I can't say the family member that did it. This family member loved me in general, did a lot for me, but the family member was growing sick, right? And I remember telling the family member that someone, a really, really old man, and I mean old, I was like a teenager. I was like 16, y'all. 15 or 16 years old, somewhere around there. I remember telling the family member that this really old man and someone that's 60 and up when you're 15 or 16, that's old to you. I think the man might have been about 65, right? Between 60 and 70 years old. Too old to be trying to talk to a 15 or 16-year-old. This particular man was friends with the family member. It was like a business associate. I remember telling the family member that this man had made a pass at me. And this family member did the same thing, busted out laughing. And I get it. I mean, I'm quite sure on some of my videos, y'all laugh. I know you have to, because sometimes when I watch the video or preview my video, because sometimes when I upload the video, I put it on private, I preview it one time. I mean, YouTube is not going to allow me to keep getting views to watch one video. I mean, my YouTube views in the about section of my profile are pretty legitimate, because I mean, you can get maybe that one view from watching it, but pretty much I would say 90% of your YouTube views are going to be views from other people watching it. YouTube picks up on things like if someone in another part of the house is watching my video, it knows the IMEI addresses for the tablets and phones and stuff like that. So you can't have your sister over there just viewing your stuff. It's going to pick it up after a while, basically. I mean, YouTube has a sophisticated system. So anyway, to make a long story short, I kind of got off track there. Sorry about that. But going back to the basically what I'm trying to say is that I know that going back to when I was even a little girl, I know that I was able to make people laugh. I can do something and make myself laugh at my own self. I get it. However, I'm not talking about that type of natural humor. I'm talking about when the narcissist is laughing at you when you're hurt, and the way they do it, they just break out all crazy laughing and you really hurt. So I'm going to go back to the situation when I was a teenager, when that what I would call at the time, I refer to him as an old man, because I went to the relative and I was like, that old man tried to come on to me, asked me to be his girlfriend or whatever. And that relative busted out laughing too. And how that made me feel was so unloved, because really I was reaching out for help. Like, can you go talk to this old man? Because I'm 15 or 16 and this old man shouldn't be doing that. So, sorry about that, y'all. I got my 12-ounce sweet tea here. So, at the end of the day, don't be afraid if someone's laughing at something that totally shouldn't be funny and they're doing that narcissistic laugh that they do. Don't be afraid to free yourself from those relationships, and if you can, go no contact. Because if the lady that was friends with that lady that had the chimpanzee would have done that, and she would have just cut that lady out of her life when that crazy thing happened, when the chimpanzee snatched her hair out of her head, she would still be probably not mauled and paralyzed with all the ailments and paralyzations from all the different things that's wrong with her. You know, and when I say paralyzed, it's not that she can't walk. I don't think it's that, but just being paralyzed with lifelong pain because you're a certain percent of your face and body and all of that has been mauled and ate up, you know. Just being paralyzed to look at yourself, looking in the mirror. I mean, it's worse than what happens to burn victims. You know, you got burn victims that you can look at them and say, wow, they still look pretty. But when you get mauled, it's just different, you know, and it was just horrible. So she should have cut that lady out of her life, and that wouldn't have happened. Oh, and check this out, y'all. They was giving the chimpanzee wine, right? One day the chimpanzee decides to grab the wine, one of the wine glasses, and start drinking it. So after that happened, they started drinking wine with the chimpanzee. Now, I'm not an animal trainer. I don't own an animal right now. I don't have a family animal right now. I had a pet rabbit that died a couple of years ago. You know, I was really sad about that. But other than that, I don't have a pet right now, right? But I can guarantee you this. I know for sure that giving the chimpanzee glasses of wine or sips of wine, whatever they gave the chimpanzee, was not a good idea. Let's use logic and common sense. I don't need to be an animal trainer. I don't need to have ever owned a chimpanzee to know that the chimpanzee does not need wine. Humans, some human beings don't need it because they don't know how to act. So what's going to happen to the poor chimpanzee? You see what I mean? Oh, and another thing that happened, when the lady's husband died, you know, her husband, before he died, owned the chimpanzee. He also advised her because he's dying that she needed to get rid of the chimpanzee. So here's another narcissistic move of this lady not listening to her husband. I mean, consider that a dying wish of his. He was obviously empathetic. He knew probably that it would be dangerous for his wife to be keeping or continuing to take care of the chimpanzee after he was dead. I mean, I'm not the police, I'm not the court systems, but in a lot of these cases, these people need to do some type of jail or prison time for this. Because she should have got rid of the chimpanzee like her husband told her. She should have saw the danger in this. So anyway, y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm almost 21 minutes in. Thank you.